Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things and welcome to another video. And today I'm going to be doing a recent theatre wrap-up and telling you about some of the things I've been to see lately in the theatre. So as a lot of you who have been watching this channel for a while will know, for the last few years I've been doing kind of what I've called non-reading wrap-ups every few months, where I talk about non-reading related things that have been going on which I wanted to talk about on my channel, including what plays and musicals I've been to see, films and television I've been watching, music I've been listening to, how my writing was going and things like that. I have decided to stop doing those videos, mostly because I don't especially enjoy making them and I never feel like I have that much to say in them, especially about television, film and music. I've just got to the point where music used to be a very big part of my life, and it still is to a certain extent. I still really like listening to music, I still like going to gigs when I can, but these days, a lot of the time where 5 years ago I would have been listening to music, I now listen to audiobooks and booktube a lot more than I listen to music. And while I still listen to music sometimes, I no longer kind of follow bands religiously in the way that I used to. And while I enjoy watching film and television, in general I feel like I just don't have that much to say about it. And so I was getting to the point where like I didn't feel like I had that much to say in my non-reading wrap-ups, or that I would say a lot but it wouldn't be very meaningful. So I was getting to the point where I felt like I was kind of scraping the barrel to find things to say in my non-reading wrap-ups, especially since I'd already taken out the booktube element of my non-reading wrap-ups, which used to be there at the beginning, because I wanted to do that kind of separately, which I have been doing and I will continue to do in the future. So I thought what I would do is get rid of non-reading wrap-ups and instead take some of the elements I do like talking about from non-reading wrap-ups and make them into other videos. So if I feel like I have writing updates I want to share, I will do a kind of writing update catch-up video. If I feel that I have like life stuff to share, I will do a life chatty catch-up video. When it comes to television and film in general, I just really don't feel like I have that much to say. And the times that I do have stuff to say about television and film tends to be when I have watched a television or film adaptation of a book. So I thought what I would do is, if I watch a television or film adaptation of a book that I find really interesting and I really want to talk about, then I will just make a separate review of it, which I'm hoping to do in the next month or two with Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders, which there was a television adaptation of over Christmas in the UK, and it was very interesting and I liked a lot of it, but I didn't like all of it, and I'd quite like to make a review of that and talk about adaptations of books into film and television in more depth, but not just talk about general film and television, because I feel like I don't have that much to say. However, the one thing from my non-reading wrap-ups that I don't want to lose, that I love talking about and that I love talking about whenever I can, is theatre. I love going to the theatre so much. I have sort of grown up on theatre almost as much, if not more, than books. My dad works in theatre and has been a stage manager and a company manager through all of my life, really. And my mum used to be an usher and a house manager in the theatre. They met in the theatre. Like, I had a very theatre-based upbringing and like went to see Shakespeare when I was like 5 or 6. And I love going to theatre so much, and it's something I would like to talk about on this channel and make more of on this channel. So I thought what I would do is get rid of non-reading wrap-ups and start doing kind of recent theatre wrap-ups where I talk about things that I've been to see in the theatre, plays, musicals, whatever, just talk about them in a little bit more depth than I was doing before, and have a kind of dedicated video for people who are interested. Obviously, you know, I'm based in London. I know that not everyone who watches me is based in London, so can't necessarily see all the things that I have seen, but a lot of the time if I'm seeing plays, you can read them, or if I'm seeing musicals or whatever, you can see them on tour and things like that. And regardless, I think it's interesting to talk about theatre because it's something I really enjoy. So that's going to happen. These are not going to probably be These won't necessarily be on the same regular basis that my non-reading wrap-ups were, which were every 3 months, because sometimes I see like 4 plays in 2 months and sometimes I see like no plays for 3 months, so I think I'll just do them when I have like enough theatre to talk about. So anyway, that was a big preamble introduction, wasn't it? Basically, I'm going to start doing theatre wrap-ups now, which should be fun. Maybe it will also encourage me to go to the theatre more, I don't know. I have 5 things that I want to talk to you about today that I saw over the course of December and January, most of which were brilliant, some of which were very interesting and a bit different, and I just wanted to chat about them today. So, on to the theatre. Firstly, in December, I went to see Ostentatious again. Now, anybody watching this channel who is a fan of Jane Austen and lives in the UK, if you have not seen Ostentatious, what are you doing with your life? Like, it is absolutely incredible. It is the funniest thing in existence, possibly, except for Jane Austen herself. To explain what Ostentatious is a travelling theatre troupe who put on Jane Austen themed improvised comedy, which sounds mad, but is incredible, and they are amazing. Like, I don't understand how people improvise, I don't understand how it works, but they do it brilliantly. Whenever they put on a show, they get people to suggest titles for missing Jane Austen novels, and then they put on a play that is that missing Jane Austen novel. So in December I went with a bunch of friends from my old work, all of whom also liked Jane Austen. This was the second Ostentatious I had been to, and it was just amazing. The title chosen was Mist and Mistresses, and it was just hilarious. Like, I can't stress how funny Ostentatious is. If you like Jane Austen and you live in the UK, they go on tour quite a lot. They're doing a big London season this year. I'm hoping to go to see Ostentatious again many, many more times. It's very silly, it's very funny. There's a lot of Jane Austen in-jokes, there's a lot of silliness, and there's only sort of 5 or 6 of them, so often they play different characters, but it's just the funniest thing, and it's so inventive and so imaginative, and they're all such brilliant actors and actresses, and it's just, yeah, you've got to go see Ostentatious, guys. I love it so much. Another thing I went to see over the Christmas period was a theatre show, let's say, called Orpheus, which I went to see at the Battersea Arts Centre. I went with all of my family after Christmas, and this was a weird one because I did not like this at all, but all of my family adored it and thought it was incredible and hilarious and moving and powerful, and it was not for me. This was a 1930s themed cabaret mime show retelling of Orpheus and the Underworld, and I don't like slapstick comedy, I like word comedy, which is one of the reasons why I love Ostentatious so much. Orpheus was very much like mime, slapstick comedy, over-the-top acting, just absolutely not my cup of tea. The music, however, was incredible. A lot of really fantastic, like 1930s jazz. It was really fun. A lot of other people seemed to really enjoy it, though it definitely wasn't my cup of tea. But yeah, I know now to avoid mime. Right just after Christmas, Nick and I went to see a dramatic reading slash staged one-man show of A Christmas Carol done by Simon Callow, which was just really, really wonderful. I love A Christmas Carol a lot. Feels slightly weird to be talking about this in February, but A Christmas Carol is a Dickens novella that a lot of you will have heard of, that follows a man called Scrooge who is not very nice and has 4 spirits come and tell him how to be a nicer person. It is wonderful and glorious, and it's so brilliant spoken aloud because it has such a rich, deep language, and because it's so compelling and so like atmospheric, and it kind of follows this kind of ghost story tradition as though it should be read aloud. Dickens kind of inserts this narrative voice slash persona in there, and it just works wonderfully read aloud. This was an abridged version, as most kind of dramatic readings slash productions of A Christmas Carol are, and I found it really interesting actually because it was mostly abridged, but every now and then it was edited, and it was really interesting to notice which words they'd changed, because yes, I do know A Christmas Carol that well. For example, the fact that in A Christmas Carol, it always says that Bob Cratchit wears a muffler, and in this production they changed the word to a scarf because they obviously thought people wouldn't know what a muffler was, and there were quite a few incidences of that where I was like, a word has changed meaning over time, so they've changed the word so as not to confuse people, and that was really, really fascinating. And yes, I do know A Christmas Carol too well, but it was just wonderful. Another thing Mick and I saw in January was the musical Wicked. Now, Wicked is an amazing musical. It is a prequel kind of thing to The Wizard of Oz, looking at the relationship between Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, and Glinda, who is the good fairy in The Wizard of Oz, who in Wicked were sort of friends, and it follows their relationship and the dynamic and everything going on in Oz. Wicked is an astounding musical. It's such a fantastic story. I really am not bothered by The Wizard of Oz at all. I haven't read the book, but the film I find not very interesting. I'm not very excited at all, but Wicked is amazing. I really, really must read the book because I love the musical so much. And it was really interesting going to see it actually, because I went through rather a large Wicked phase in my teenage years. I was obsessed. I still know all the words. Even though I haven't like listened to the soundtrack or read the words or seen it, apart from recently, for several years. But this was, I think, my 8th time seeing Wicked, because as a teenager I went to see Wicked a lot, partly because at the theatre where Wicked is on, you can queue up in the morning and get fairly reasonably priced tickets. Sort of, it used to be £25, I think it's now £30, in the front row, and so whenever I wanted to go and see a musical, or whenever I had friends down and wanted to see a musical, I queued and got tickets to see it in the front row because they're really good seats and it's much cheaper than going to see a lot of other West End shows. But anyway, because of that I ended up going to see Wicked a lot as a teenager, and also because I was obsessed with it a lot, and it's really weird to think that I still know all the words of something I genuinely hadn't listened to for years and years, but that teenage part of myself still knew it so well. And I remember so strongly as a teenager, like hugely identifying with Elphaba, and just thinking what a wonderful character she is. And it's a fantastic musical with such great deep explorations of like what good and evil is, and kind of complications of friendship and growing up, and it's wonderful. And yes, I really, really must read the book. I hope the book is as good as the musical, because it's great. And the other thing I went to see at the very end of January was an immersive theatre production of The Great Gatsby, which was on just near London Bridge. I will leave all the details down below. If you are in London, seriously, you ought to go. It is an amazing, amazing experience. This was the first interactive theatre experience I've ever been to, and I didn't really know what it would be like. This was a Christmas present to me from two of my friends, one of whom had been before and recommended it and said how brilliant it was, and the three of us went together. We dressed up in slightly 1920s-esque clothing, as did a lot of people going, and it was just really, really good fun. It's interactive and it's immersive, and the actors kind of pull off groups from the main crowd to kind of tell them things about the story and to kind of act out scenes in front of them in smaller groups. And it's really hard to explain how it works, but it's incredibly clever because they managed to get the story of The Great Gatsby, one, really brilliantly done with amazing scenes, so much power and like emotional depth, like the acting was all brilliant, but they condense it wonderfully, and they also make it so that even though everyone going sees slightly different scenes, especially in the first half of play, you all still know the story and you all still know what's going on. And you know, it was so different and interesting and so cleverly done, and I would be really interested in going again. I think it's the kind of thing where every time you go you get a slightly different experience, and it was also just a really good fun night because they were selling like 1920s themed cocktails and everyone was dressed up, and they also kind of taught you how to dance 1920s style, all the while this kind of fantastic immersive theatre experience was going on. It was just really brilliant and I would highly recommend it. So I think that's all that I wanted to talk about for now. Please let me know down in the comments what you thought of this new video style, and if you like me doing theatre wrap-ups, if you're interested to keep watching them. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm back very soon with another bookish video.